Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy is brought to you in part by Tom's Place, the finest in men's fashion, located in Toronto at 190 Baldwin Street, in the heart of Kensington Market. Or visit toms-place.com. Celebrating 5 years. This is Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy. Listen, laugh, and learn.
We know who invented the little black dress from this show, but who called it the little black dress?
Are Oreo cookies considered to be vegan? Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Roy. And this week, we scoured the internet, plus we dragged in a guest just for you.
In the mailbag segment, what does it mean to toe the line? And in the news, a lady's chickens are her emotional support animals. What the cluck?
Totally useless information. It's everything you never needed to know.
Speaking of chicken,
Your weekly sweet and savory facts of totally useless information with Nick and Roy. Come and get it!
yeah, that lady. Thank you for joining us. 80 countries around the world have chosen us to be part of their entertainment. Thank you very much. We really, really do appreciate it. We do know that you enjoy our show because you send us feedback. We appreciate that. Go to our website, nickandroy.com, and leave us a message, and we always appreciate it. How about this? Roy and I are of Italian descent, and I think one of the iconic things in Italian kitchens, the wooden spoon. And
my grandma used to hit me with it.
Well, yes. So not only was it used as like a kitchen utensil, it also was used as a weapon in Italian households. So I was wondering.
And wait a minute, Nick. Wait.
Yes.
And a learning tool.
And a learning tool. That's right. Exactly. So I wondered, where did the wooden spoon come from?
Ooh.
So the Valley of Valstrona in northern Piedmont, the Italian Alps, is commonly referred to as the Valley of Spoons because wooden spoons were fashioned there as one of the principal industries for centuries. Italian wooden spoons are typically made from olive wood. Olive wood
makes sense.
It is because it's a popular choice for kitchen utensils because of its durability, natural beauty, and antibacterial properties, which is really interesting. Antibacterial properties.
Nick, you really dove into the spoon thing.
I did, and then you know what? Just as a matter of as a force of habit, I hit myself with it. You know, just for old time's sake.
Yeah, right. Well, you have to. Were you wearing your wooden shoes at the time?
Yes, I was. As a matter of fact, how did you know? Wow.
So speaking of food, Nick, I normally walk into the KFC and I salute immediately, because of Colonel Sanders.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That's right. He outranks you.
But I love this one.
Yeah.
When we eat a McDonald's hamburger or any fast food hamburger for that matter.
Yes.
Okay, the amount of chopped meat that they use, the vats are so huge that so many cows are exterminated to make the chopped meat. We'll try to keep it nice. That the burger that you eat at a fast food restaurant probably contains the meat from more than 100 cows. So they throw 100 cows into the chopped meat. They mix it all up, and you're eating one of 100. Wow. I guess that's great, so you can't feel bad and go, oh, it was that one.
Yeah, well, it's also part of the cow witness protection program, because you never really know which cow you're like. Yeah, exactly. So let me get to my teaser, because I think this is something that intrigued a lot of people, because, people they're watching what they're eating, and I do too, because I look at my plate, they go, that looks delicious. I don't think that's what they mean by watch what you eat. Are Oreos vegan? Yes, because all the ingredients in Oreos are completely vegan and are suitable for consumption. So now you might ask, wait a minute, how are Oreos vegan? Because I know you're asking, I see the look on your face. You're asking, how are Oreos vegan if they have chocolate? Mm-hmm. Were you wondering that?
Do they have chocolate?
Oreos are completely free from animal-derived products. The chocolate flavor comes from cocoa powder, which is a natural plant-based ingredient. So yes,
Yeah, I
Oreos.
was going to say milk chocolate has milk, but cocoa powder, which I put on my cereal every morning, does
Yes,
not.
there you go. There's your own version of what was it, Cocoa Pebbles? I,
Well, what I do is I put a big teaspoon of cinnamon and a big teaspoon of cocoa powder into Cheerios.
wow.
It turns them into Count Chocula's.
Yes. What I loved about eating Count Chocolate as a kid or Cocoa Pebbles was at the end of your cereal eating session, you have chocolate milk, and you can drink that up later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Nick spoke about our being of Italian descent,
Hmm.
and I disagree with him. I just think we're in a freefall descent.
Oh, okay, right. That's right. I'm totally used to this information with Nick and Roy.
But Italians love their cannolis.
Yeah.
Now, if you're from another country and don't know what a cannoli is, we urge you to Google an image of a cannoli and then get your hands on one. They're so famous, they're actually in movies where he says, "Leave the gun, take the cannoli."
That's right. The Godfather.
But a cannoli is actually a dessert. It is from Sicily, where
Hmm.
my family is from,
Okay.
and they are totally delicious. But
Yeah.
when you look at a cannoli, you're going to notice that the shell, which holds the creamy goodness,
Yes.
has all craters in it.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
that's right.
why? Yeah, why does it have craters? Well, it's because they put a capful of vinegar into the dough, which creates an air bubble, which the air bubble pops rather than the cannoli shell cracking and falling apart. So it's kind of like a stress reliever for the dough so that the dough stays in a cylindrical form. How how cool was that, Nick? The word cylindrical put in there.
Yes. Never mind saying it. How about spelling it? But I love that fact because you look at it. You're right. It has that certain texture to it, and when you do look up what a cannoli looks like, those of you who are not familiar with it, you'll understand exactly what Roy is talking about. It has that unique texture, and when you bite into what did you call it? The creamy goodness. And sometimes
The
it's
creamy
cream.
goodness. Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's custard cream, and sometimes it's ricotta, which is really, really
Mm.
good. One of our great
The
bakeries.
regatta, the regatta, and we
It's
say regatta.
yeah.
People say ricotta.
Well, it
It
is. Well,
makes me
well,
crazy.
because it's a C, Ricotta. You have to pronounce the C. The people who didn't pronounce the Italian words correctly were the cast members of The Sopranos, because they would say regatta or a gabagool. There's a C in there. It's capicola, by the way.
It's gabagool.
Yeah, with a C, capicola.
Yeah, that's because you're not from Sicily.
That's right. I'm not. I'm from the southern part. I'm the heel of the boot, basically. Here's some more
Yeah.
vegan news. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Ritz crackers, everyone's favorite cracker. Ritz.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it hides a secret. Wait, this is a shocking secret. Da-da-da-da. Give me your da-da-da-da. Like, this is a shocking
Yes.
secret.
Da, 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 da.
It's vegan. Despite having the iconic buttery flavor we all know and love, there's actually no dairy in a Ritz cracker. It's a combination of oil and other ingredients that create that addictive taste, but not real butter. We're sure vegans are extra happy about this one, so you're welcome.
Yeah, let me tell you something else about Ritz crackers, just an added bonus. Da, 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 da. This is added.
Yeah.
During the Depression, they would make something called fake apple pie using sugar, cinnamon, Ritz crackers to make a filling that you would mistake for apples, which were expensive at the time.
Wow.
And so they would use the Ritz cracker into the filling to give it that buttery flavor, along with the cinnamon, told your brain that you were eating apple pie.
Wow.
Here's a food one that's kind of weird.
Okay.
Okay. Nitroglycerin. That's the highly explosive substance that they discovered. It's in dynamite. But nitroglycerin itself is like 10 times the strength of dynamite.
It is.
It's really highly, and if you shake it, it blows up. Well, guess what? Its main ingredient, peanuts.
What?
They extract peanut oil, and then they highly refine the peanut oil, and they take out the ingredients from the peanut oil to make nitroglycerin.
Uh-huh.
That's insane.
It is.
You know, that's why they say that candy bar has a lot of peanuts and packs a punch.
Yes. Yeah. Nitroglycerin is used with explosive properties, and if you're a heart patient, you'll use take nitroglycerin so your heart doesn't explode. So you
Yeah.
mentioned at the top of the show that we had a special guest, and we do, and so we would like to definitely welcome to our show the mayor of Niagara Falls, Jim Diodati. Your worship, welcome to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's great. So we were just talking about food here on the show, and I know we asked you to come on to talk about Niagara Falls because you are the mayor of Niagara Falls, and we thought we would pick your brain with some of the interesting facts about Niagara Falls that you really wouldn't find in a tourism brochure.
There is so much information and neat, quirky facts about Niagara Falls. And I love when I have guests here from all over the world and
Yeah.
I'm driving them around.
Yeah.
They get such a charge out of hearing some of the stories. And I'm grateful to share a few with you.
Well, we were glad though. So Roy is the co-host, and he's down in Florida at the poor thing. He's shoveling sand while we're shoveling.
Jim, it's horrible, Jim. I'm doing the podcast from the beach.
Yeah.
Oh,
And you know,
thank you for
how
doing
you
this
guys?
for
What's
us.
the temperature there?
It's raining. It's foggy. There's snow. Like it couldn't get much worse.
So now speaking of it, so Niagara Falls, I mean, it is obviously one of the great wonders of the world. It's the honeymoon capital of the world, which we'll get into in a moment. But how does the weather impact the tourism? Every day, because I mean, people plan trips and they show up and it starts to rain and there's fog and mist, of course. But so how does Niagara Falls deal with that? How do the tourists deal with that when they come to Niagara Falls?
That's a great question because it's it has the biggest impact on visitation more than anything else. And I always joke with the tourism industry. I said you should be sponsoring the Weather Channel,
Right.
because you know how many times they'll put 30%, 40%, 60% chance of whatever. And I think I could be a weather person if that's all I got to do, and I never have to actually be right. I can always say, well, I did say there was a 10% chance, but most people, given the fact that we're within a day's drive for half the population of North America, many people make game time decisions. They
Right.
get up, they check the Weather Channel, they look up in the sky, and they decide if they're jumping in the van heading to Niagara Falls. So the weather has a huge impact more than anything else.
Now, Roy has visited Niagara Falls. You've been there, right? You've been.
I've been to Niagara Falls twice.
Okay.
Once a very long time ago when my son was like 2. He's 35 now.
Right.
34. And I also was up there a few years ago when I came up to visit my friend Felix, who has a restaurant there, and I believe, Jim, that you know the family.
Pingu family.
Pingu.
Felix and his 2 boys, Anthony and Marco, and they've got Napoli pizza, which is excellent food, traditionally done. And that's one thing, when you come to Niagara Falls, you eat well because we like to eat.
Well,
My
we're just
God,
talking about food, as I mentioned here on the show, and I think people don't realize that just because it has a lot of tourists that visit your area, you have some incredible restaurants, including Napoli restaurant and other fine establishments that they have some really great cuisine other than hamburgers and hot dogs, something really fast food. You have some really great dining. Now we've given you a homework assignment. We've told you to please give us some information. So can you wow us, Your Worship, with some information about Niagara Falls that I never read in any brochure?
Well, you know what? The one that I find people are most intrigued by, and I bring greetings to conferences all over the world. And of course, we do get 14 million people, so we have a few visitors that come to town.
Wow.
And one of the things that they're most intrigued by is the negative ions. I tell them Niagara Falls is home to the location with the greatest number of naturally occurring negative ions anywhere in the world. And negative ions happen where there's fast and free-flowing water. And of course, Niagara Falls has a little bit of water. In fact, there's enough water flowing over the falls to fill 17,000 bathtubs every second, and representing 20% of the world's freshwater, the greatest freshwater basin anywhere in the planet. There's a lot of moving water. And negative ions are actually positive in nature. They give you energy, vitality, healing, sense of well-being, and people will come from around the world. They'll stand at the base of the falls. They'll feel the mist at their face. They'll watch this full cresting rainbow, and the area is saturated negative ions, and they will sit there and deep breathe. Some people will do yoga, they'll do meditation. They take in the negative ions, and to see people come around from around the world, and they just use their hands in this motion where they're drawing in the negative ions. It's an incredible fact that some people know well, but most people have never heard of negative ions.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that at all.
He makes it sound so terrible.
Well, no, I mean, imagine. So you have the roar of the water. So, by the way, about over 650,000 gallons every second goes over the falls. 650,000 gallons every second to produce those negative ions. I bet. Now, do you know if any fish can swim in Niagara Falls?
Oh my gosh. So Niagara is known as one of the best fisheries in all of North America. And again, I go back to the 20% of the world's fresh water. We've got incredible fish. When you want to see salmon spawning season, you'll see these massive 20, 30-pound salmon when they're spawning. And I've been fishing down in the lower river, down by the rapids and the whirlpool. Some of the fishing is incredible. And we've got walleye, perch, trout, bass, salmon. In fact,
I have to say, I don't think it's very fair to call it fishing when the fish goes over the falls and gets knocked out at the bottom. You just kind of grab them, right, and put them in the boat,
Yeah, but you see, the mayor puts the fishing rod on the water, makes it look like he's catching any fish, because that's how I would fish. That's how you do it.
It's really a net. There's a net. It's not even a fishing rod.
Yeah, okay. It's not that hard, okay.
No, but it's amazing. I don't think I didn't know that there's that many types of varieties of fish that survive in Niagara Falls. And so how far up from the actual falls do you fish along the Niagara River?
Well, there's fishing in the upper river. We call the upper river before it goes over the falls. And then there's the lower river, which is about 200 feet lower. And fishing is fantastic in both, but the lower river is the better fishing. Yeah. And we've had some of the top fishing shows in the world here, where they come down and they drop their lines and they start bringing in the fish. In fact, there's a great story. There's a retired fireman here who used to write an article in the local paper, and he was telling me he was in the upper river, and you can go not too far from the falls, but as you get closer to the edge, the water moves faster and it's a little harder to fish. Yeah. But he was telling me he pulled out this massive rainbow trout, and then he released it and he let it go. And there was a gentleman from the U.S. that was watching him bring it in and then let it go. And he said to him, he said, why would you let one like that go? And he said, we always let the little guys go.
Oh, that's amazing. So,
listen, you know what? There's a fact. Maybe you could tell me if this is true. The Maid of the Mist boats. There are two of them. There was Maid of the Mist 1 and Maid of the Mist 2.
How clever.
And for 40 some odd years, they were taking people to the falls.
Right.
And they both burnt in a fire in 1954 or 55, I understand. And then they commissioned a 40-foot yacht, which they christened the Little Maid, which they only used while they were building. In 1955, they finished building the new Maid of the Mist 1, and in 1956, the new Maid of the Mist 2. But they lost both to one fire?
So, yes, and since then, the Maid of the Mist has built a completely new fleet of boats, including electric boats. And the new boats today are so much better. The old ones never even had washrooms on them. And the funny thing is, you'd think for a 20-minute trip, you wouldn't need a washroom. But I don't need to tell you what a lot of people do. As soon as they hear the sound of water running, they instantly have to pee.
Right, yeah.
And
well, Nick and I are both over the age of 60.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't matter. We don't need the sound of water to trigger that, Mr. Mayor, Your Worship. Yeah, no, not at all.
We don't even sleep anymore. We just sleep in the bathroom now.
Sleep in the bath. Years when we were younger, we used to sleep in the bathtub because that's where we wound up after a night of partying. Now we just sleep in the bathtub because it's just more comfortable that way. And at our age,
a gentleman who grew up in Niagara Falls is James Cameron. And obviously we know James Cameron for all the great movies. He was a part of Terminator, Avatar, Titanic, Alien. And he was just here recently. National Geographic called Niagara Falls the best place on the planet to watch the eclipse. So we had that this
Oh,
past
right, of
year.
course, yeah.
And I was down there we had hundreds of thousands of people, and James Cameron was there. So we ended up going out for dinner afterward. And I asked him, I said, so what brings you to Niagara Falls? Because he's been in New Zealand lately making his latest movie. And he said, well, he goes, I'm not going to miss the biggest event on the planet in my hometown. So when we went out for dinner, a little bit of trivia, I told him in my basement, I've got the Terminator 2 pinball game. And he goes, oh, come on, the one with the gun handle? I said, yep, that's the one. And the one where he's Arnold saying, I'll be back. So anyway, it was just a cool bit of trivia getting together with him. And he said, I would love to do something, a major project right here in Niagara Falls. He goes, I think there's huge opportunities because there are so many stories. Honestly, guys, we need more than a short show to talk about the crazy things that have, for Marilyn Monroe filming her movie in 1953, Niagara. And you just mentioned how we're the honeymoon capital of the world. And of course, we just had a Hallmark movie that was just made here and with a completely unique plot that never has been told before.
Even in a Hallmark movie? Really?
How about this, Mayor? I got one, Mayor.
Yeah.
For James Cameron. So a stowaway on Maid of the Mist meets a wealthy girl. The Maid of the Mist heads towards the falls and begins to sink. A man screams, Rose, I built you a good ship.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you know what? I think you'd call it King of the World or something.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. It's so unique.
We're on the line with the Mayor of Niagara Falls, Jim Diodati, and thank you for joining us. You're listening to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy. We're talking about Niagara Falls because, everyone knows about Niagara Falls. You look it up, or maybe you visited Niagara Falls and you read some brochures, and we thought, let's bring in some totally useless information, because that's what we do, about Niagara Falls. Now, the Maid of the Mist, the Queen Maid of the Mist, the very first one, her name was Annie Taylor. This has nothing to do with her being a boat. She was a school teacher from Michigan, and she decided, you know what, on vacation, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the falls in a barrel. She was the first person to travel over the falls in a barrel on October 24th, 1901. Queen
And
Maid.
she took her cat with her as well?
Oh, she did. Well, the cat survived, right, because of 9 lives?
They both, they both survived.
No. I'm sorry. I have to clarify that.
Yes.
It was her emotional support pet.
Right, yeah, of
Yes,
course,
it was.
yeah. Wait, so she survived. Wait a minute, so she survived?
She survived, and she did it for fame and fortune. And she survived. The cat survived. She did it in this beautiful dress with a hat. And it was an old wine barrel, a wooden wine barrel with the metal frame. She went over. She survived. There's some great pictures out there, but she never achieved that fame and fortune that she was seeking.
Right, yeah, because,
she survived without a scratch.
Right. Yeah.
She had the cat.
Yeah, but you know what? Nicely done. But no, I think what happened when she emerged out of the water after she fell over the falls in the barrel, she came out with a rainbow trout in her mouth. It was amazing how that happened. A different kind of fishing.
A small one.
Oh,
Yeah.
and Nick, her cat identified as a dog, by the way.
Oh,
just
right.
to be
Yes, of
clear.
course. Yeah. Even pets have
Now,
pronouns.
listen, I'm going to tell you as an American.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, there's the American side of the falls, there's the Canadian side of the falls, which I understand that it is not owned property. We share the property legally. I believe it's shared between both countries.
Right.
You're correct.
Which I found very interesting. But I'll tell you as an American, number one, Americans, listen up. The Canadian side is just a place to be. It's more beautiful. There's a lot more going on. But I have to say this. Number one, the Italian population shocked me, the amount of Italians that I met there. But I have to tell you guys, go to Niagara Falls, man. It is amazing. It's a great place to go. The people are so friendly and so nice. The food, the people, it's a real cultural place. I loved it. I love Niagara Falls.
I got to say to you too, Roy, there's a massive confusion. When I travel in the U.S., people will ask me, they say, are you Canadian? And I say, yeah, I'm Canadian. Well, how can you be the mayor of Niagara Falls if you're a Canadian? Many people don't realize there's Niagara Falls, New York, and Niagara Falls, Ontario.
Right.
So the two Niagara Falls and Mayor of Niagara Falls, New York, Robert Ray Stano and I are very good buddies, and we get together and we chat and we stay in touch. And we always say we're one big city divided by a river. And it's funny for me, Roy, I've got family on both sides of the border, and going across the river is just like going across town in any other city in North America. We just shoot over the river. We don't think twice about it. And we really feel, I feel, and I joke, I say, I speak American. And then people say, what are you talking about? You speak, I said, well, we call it a highway. They call it a freeway. We call it a grocery store. They call it a supermarket. And we call it a couch. They call it a sofa. We call it pop, and they call it cola, and we call it running shoes. They call them sneakers. So I can get away, and then every so often, by accident, I let out A.
Oh,
And then my
no.
cover's blown.
Mm.
Everybody knows.
There you go. The other thing that's really amazing, there was what was the other place we visited? Oh, our friend Reno from Pete's Pizza, and I know he's been a supporter of our show, but the amount of work that he does in the community is really amazing, and it's not. I mean, you hear about people who give back to the community, but Reno, if I can give out the shout out, and if the audience can indulge us for just a moment, he is a supporter of our show, like I said, but he does amazing work outside the community. I mean, he has donated like tons of pizzas and pastas, has pasta nights, and raises all kinds of money for charities, and that's part of the culture that is Niagara. Because Roy said they're really nice people, because it's not just about welcoming tourists. It's about if you live there, you feel great. If you're visiting there, you feel as if you live there, and everyone treats you the same way. So he's one of the people in the Pingu family as well. By the way, I was at the local supermarket here in Toronto, and I'm in the deli section, and I saw a Pingu Coca-Cola. And because
Yes.
they make their own. And so we're probably going to have Marco on in a future episode, but I think I want to title that segment, How the Sausage is Made. Really? Because they make their own sausage.
They do, and they make the best prosciutto. They're well-known, award-winning. And earlier, I know that Roy was talking about the Italian. There's a lot of Italians here, and a lot of us, including myself, we make supersata, which is Italian version of salami, prosciutto, all sorts of different foods. And you come here, you're not going to starve. You get into someone's cantina, there'll be enough cheese, meat, and wine. We'll survive a lot of things.
Yeah.
So, and we'll have a good time, and we'll have a bathtub nearby as well.
Yeah.
Jim, I have to say this, and it is 7 years, so it is past the point of being arrested. I came up to Niagara Falls. I left Niagara Falls, went over the bridge, got onto a plane in Buffalo,
Uh-oh.
New York,
Mm-hmm.
and the NSA guy pulls me over and says, "What's this in your suitcase?" And it was an entire prosciutto. The whole leg of the animal was in my bag. It looked like a scene out of a mafia movie. And it was Felix who put the entire prosciutto into my bag.
And you didn't know this?
No, and I said to the guy, I said, I don't. This guy I know makes this up there, and he put it in my bag. I didn't even know it was there.
So what happened? Did he allow you?
Which is against NSA rules. You're not supposed to have anything in your bag you don't know about.
So what happened? So what happened? Did you wind up keeping it, or did
So
they
he checked my wife's bag for the rest of the animal.
Right. No, you took out a deli slice and started to slice some really thin
What do you mean?
prosciutto.
What happened? Yeah, we started eating it.
Can't bring it over the
Is
board.
that a prosciutto in your pocket?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
said, yeah, my wife has some Italian bread in her bag. Let's go.
You're listening to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy. We're having a great conversation with the mayor of Niagara Falls, Ontario, in here in Canada, Jim Diodati, and we mentioned the honeymoon capital of the world. So I know that it was over a couple hundred years ago. So I have the names of the people who actually started this whole trend. Theodosia and Joseph Alston. They were from Albany, New York, and they went to the falls on their, quote, bridal tour with a number of servants and 9 pack horses, because why not go on your honeymoon with a bunch of servants and pack horses? 9 of them, right? So when they passed through the frontier of Buffalo, they came through the magnificent view of Niagara Falls. So they loved it, and they told all their friends. Well, following their example, in 1804, 3 years later, 2 other high society newlyweds by the name of Jerome Bonaparte, the younger brother of Napoleon, and his Baltimore bride, Elizabeth Patterson. And they also became honeymooners there. And then before you know it, people started to hear about it. And now it is the honeymoon capital of the world.
It is. And even Nick, Winston Churchill was here. And he drove down the Niagara Parkway, and he referred to it as the prettiest drive in the world. That was his quote about
Wow.
this area. And you know, you're right. And we always say this. We always say, like, what an incredible place to live because of the microclimate. We've got 200 wineries, some of the best wines, some of the richest soils. We've got having 4 international crossings right next to our neighbors to the south when you want to go visit and shop and explore into the U.S. We've got great waterways with the Niagara River and, of course, 20% of the world's freshwater in the Great Lakes. We're close to Toronto. I mean, we've kind of got everything you'd want in a beautiful area to live and to visit. And we love rolling out the red carpet for all of our guests to come here. And you'll find warm people, hospitable. We love people coming to visit us, and we love showing off the things that we have. And we know, hey, the falls belongs to the world. We're just the gatekeepers here taking care of
Yeah.
it, but we want everyone to come and experience
And
it.
do a great job, and it's amazing. So maybe the slogan should be, come to Niagara Falls, home of the negative ions. No? Would that work?
No. That's a punk rock group.
Oh,
the Negative
that's
Ions.
right. Performing at Niagara Falls at
No, really,
at the casino.
I can't tell people enough how really amazing it is. It's very close to a lot of places in the United States, especially the upper east portion of the United States. Why people don't go there constantly is insane. I think they should just make weekend trips out of it. It's just that fantastic of a place. You'll get to see this historic site, plus an amazing town, vibrant. The foodie scene is just, it's fantastic. And so I can't say enough about it. I went up there my first time. I brought my mom, who my wife referred to as a pack mule.
With love and respect. Oh, okay, here's another slogan. Come to Niagara Falls, you'll have a great time, and you'll leave with a leg of prosciutto. No? Would that work?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Bring your pack mule.
Right.
I loved even the Hallmark movie. They called it Falling in Love in Niagara.
Falling
Right.
in love. Uh-huh. Wow.
Falling in love. That's what I mean. There's
No
so
pun.
many.
No pun intended.
No, and Superman 2 was filmed here, was Christopher Reeve. That was one where the kid falls, and you got to watch the video. Oh my God. The kid falls, he's playing on the railing, which when you see it makes you crazy when people will put their little kid up on the railing to take a picture.
Oh, wow.
And you think, are you, because there are these updrafts. One year we had a girl from Japan with an umbrella, and it literally lifted her and put her into the falls, never made it. And so here in the Superman movie, the little boy's playing on the falls side of the railing, and he falls. And of course, he falls for about 20 seconds because it took forever. But it gave Christopher Reeve, Superman, enough time to hear it, spot it, go get changed, and then save him. And but it was one of the famous scenes. And in fact, just recently, the gentleman who had the mannequin that went over the falls, he just passed away recently. But it was one of the neat things that happened in Niagara Falls. A lot of neat things happen. I find when anything happens here, it has this amplification effect. When Nick Wallenda walked across the falls in 2012, we had 1 billion people in a 24-hour period watch it. It was big. We had the major U.S. networks here. It was because when things happen here, when you say the word Niagara Falls with anything else, it gives it a lift.
It's amazing.
I was also amazed that the water stopped in 1848, and in 1969 the water stopped. A total between the two events, 30 to 40 hours. The water had stopped due to an ice jam, which is extremely rare because 700,000 gallons per second. If you've never been there to see it, it is like going to the Grand Canyon. It's just this amazing sight of sheer power of water,
You're exactly right. And so since then, now we have what's called an ice boom in the upper river, and we control the ice flow and we let it melt before we open up the boom, because that ice would do what you just said, and it caused flooding. It caused damage to the power plant. One year it ripped down one of our bridges. I mean, it's so powerful and treacherous with the high winds. And then, as you mentioned, in 1969, we did it manually. We brought in the Army Corps of Engineers from the U.S., and they diverted the falls so that they could inspect the American Falls. And they wanted to look at what was going on with the rocks and the water flow. And they even found a couple of bodies down there and millions of coins while they were doing it.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Could you go? So go fishing. Okay, here's another slogan. Come to Niagara Falls, catch the rainbow trout, and also a bunch of change. No?
I don't know why they don't teach those small fish, those small trout to move the ice.
Right.
I mean, what are they, 70, 80 pounds, these trout?
That's just a small one. Well, we can't thank you enough, Your Worship, Mayor of Niagara Falls, Ontario, Jim Diodati. We really appreciate you providing us some useless information that, as I say, you'd never find in a brochure for tourists. But if you visit Niagara Falls, check out Napoli Ristorante or check out one of Pete's Pizza's locations because they're our friends. And we think that when you go there, you'll have just as a great experience as it is to watch the falls themselves.
Absolutely. They're great people. Reno's great. The Pingus are great. A lot of great people here in Niagara Falls. Come and visit. We'd love to spend some time with you.
Yeah, and let me say that you see the way Jim is, the way he just is such a normal, everyday guy, even though he's a famous mayor of a famous place.
Yeah.
But this is how everybody is up in Niagara Falls. They're just super comfortable, real nice people. So, again, go to Niagara Falls. You're gonna love it.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for your time.
All right, guys. Nick and Roy, thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
You're listening to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy.
We're back with Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy. Listen, laugh, and learn.
Boy, what a great guy, the Mayor, Jim Diodati. Thanks again. That was amazing. And I know may have
It's
some...
very rare, Nick, that we allow somebody to interrupt the show.
Wow.
But the mayor. It's the mayor.
It's
Nick.
the Mayor of Niagara Falls. And you know, it may have sounded like an infomercial, but we're really passionate about the information that we gave to you as we do on our show. So thank you for your indulgence. But I'll tell you this. While I was listening to the interview, I was having a cup of tea. And you're thinking...
Were you?
Yeah, I was. You didn't hear it, though, because I had the microphone off. But there was a whistling... Well, it was a whistling tea kettle. So if you're wondering where whistling tea kettles came from... I was wondering this as you guys were talking.
Were you wondering?
I was wondering. I was wandering. Who's where I was. Not wondering, but wandering. In 1923, a Londoner named Harry Bramson, he kind of brought the invention, and they were designed to produce a whistle-like sound to alert you when the water boils. Because usually what will happen is you'll put the water on the stove and then walk away from it. You'd never know. Maybe you walk away, but the whistle will alert you that the water is now boiling. So as the water reaches boiling point, the resulting steam would build up, and then it would cause the vibrations within the compartment. And as more steam is produced, the vibrations would become louder and eventually produce the whistling sound.
Sounds like sex.
Right? Yeah. So your wife is whistling Dixie. Is that what you're telling us?
You know, I got to tell you, Nick and I have been talking about dieting and so on, and trying to eat a more healthy lifestyle.
Right.
And so I've been doing a lot of research, and Nick's been doing a lot of research. And I know it's the food section, so let's throw something quick in there.
Yeah.
You guys have in your pantry things like cinnamon, cumin, ginger.
Mm-hmm.
These are all things that you have to incorporate into your food. There's garlic, there's ginger, there's cumin, there's cinnamon, there is curry. These are all herbs and spices that are wonderful to regulate blood sugar, to change your blood pressure. So we encourage, Nick and I, and this is just a thing to put out there, and maybe just by us saying this, it might encourage some people out there to look into it. Get online and look up these herbs and spices and how you can use them in your diet to help your body do better. So we're just putting that out there as a little thing, because if we can help even one or two people, then we did something good.
Something useful. You're listening to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy.
Welcome to the Totally Useless Information Fashion Show.
Thank you for joining us. And yes, we're doing some fashion. So do you have pockets in your pants?
I have underwear on now, Nick. I'm not wearing any pants. No. I have shorts, but I do have pockets in my shorts.
Wow.
I'm in Florida, Nick.
That's true. Like, do you actually own a pair of long pants?
I actually own 29 suits, which I work in. So yeah, I have a lot of long pants.
So I was wondering where pockets came from, and it also sparked from one of the messages we got on our website, nickandroy.com. And we'll tell you some great things you can do on there. But in the 16th century, pockets became more popular were often hung from belts outside the pants.
Oh,
One other
like a
popular,
utility belt.
well, it was a place for men to keep their keys and money and other personal items. Here's another place they put them, in their codpiece. That's the frontal
Yeah,
protrusion.
the old I'm wearing a cod piece.
Yeah, it's
right
the
now.
frontal protrusion that went out of style when the exaggerated size became cumbersome. That's what happened. But in the
everybody keeps saying, "Are you wearing a cod piece?" And I'm like, "No."
No, I just have my car keys in there, and I have a lot of cars. In the 17th century, pockets began to be sewn into men's clothing. In the late 1920s and 30s, trousers became more socially acceptable, and pockets became standard for women's clothing as well. Now, we have an email from, I know we have the mailbag section later on, but Kevin emailed us and said, "Good day, sirs. I don't need to wear dress pants, but more than just jeans, so something a little bit dressier." His question is about the right pocket on most of those fancy pants. They have a divider at the bottom. Why is that?
This is a question for Tom from Tom's Place.
As a matter of fact, I spoke to Tom about Tom's Place, and he said,
"Oh no, did you really?"
"Yeah, because if you need a question answered about anything about clothing, it's got to be Tom, right? Tomaholic
He's the guy.
He
man.
is.
He knows everything about clothing.
So I asked him the question, and honest to goodness, within 4 seconds, he said, "It's for change." So when you put change in your pocket, it falls to the bottom of the pocket. With this little sort of extra divider, the change kind of sits in there, and it's easier for you to grab the change if you're carrying change anymore. But that's the reason why there's a divider. So, Kevin, there's the answer to your question, courtesy of Tom from Tom's Place.
Okay, the first fashion blogger. The age of the internet came out with blogging. Well, the first fashion blog was a person named Susie Lamb, Lam, and she started her blog in 2006. The first fashion blogger, Susie Lamb.
There you go. Thank you, Susie. Now,
that's useless.
It is, or 100%. As you listen to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy, the first recorded use of neckties appeared in the Roman era when Roman soldiers wore scarves dipped in water and wrapped around their necks to keep cool. But the origin of the modern necktie came in about 1668 when Croatian mercenaries in the service of Austria appeared in France wearing these linen scarves around their necks. Now, eventually, a fashion publication listed 32 different types of knots for the necktie, and they were usually named after people or fashionable places like the Windsor knot and things like that, right? So the Windsor knot is an example. Its royal name originates back to the region of the Duke of Windsor, where men would emulate the style of his wide knot tie.
So this is my teaser, which I know people were excited about. And then we
edge of our seats, man. We're edge of our seats.
We all know on the program we've spoke about the little black dress, which was invented and designed by Coco Chanel. But Coco Chanel never called it the little black dress.
She didn't.
No, and we basically said on the show that Coco Chanel said it was the little black dress, which is not true.
So tell us the truth then. Tell us the truth.
I got to the bottom of it, Nick.
You did, as you usually do.
It was in a 1926 issue of Vogue magazine that the editor inferred and referred to the versatile Coco Chanel dress as, end quote, the little black dress. And from that point forward, we call it that.
That's amazing. That's pretty cool. Thank you.
There you go.
And you did get to the bottom of it, which is where you usually wind up anyway. Men usually button from the right to left, and women, the opposite is true. The reason for that is men on travels and battlefields would dress themselves and button their own. But women who could afford expensive buttons, and they also had servants who would dress them. Now, since the servants were predominantly right-handed, they found it easier to fasten the ladies' garments when the buttons and buttonholes were sewn in the mirror image reversal.
Oh my God, that makes so much sense.
Right. And that is the reason why the women's buttons are on the opposite sides from men's clothes.
This is when the world was run by common sense.
Right. The least...
And efficiency.
Yeah, the least common of all senses.
No, but I mean, really, honestly, that's amazing. Here's another good one I know people are gonna love. What happens at these shows when the people walk into these gala events? It's very fashionable to walk on the red carpet,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
Well, where did the red carpet come from? Where did that become a custom?
I like that. Do tell us.
Okay, yeah, you're gonna want to know this one. This one's a great one. It actually comes from the premiere of a 1922 movie with Errol Flynn. The movie was Robin Hood, the man in the red tights.
Yeah.
Well, they made a red carpet for the people to walk down. And of course, they had this premiere where everybody wore tuxedos. And it seemed so fashionable that black tuxedos against the red carpet that it stuck.
Nice.
And thus, the red carpet begins after the 1922 premiere of Robin Hood with Errol Flynn.
Nick and Roy will continue with totally useless information.
Here comes the groom. Is there an upcoming wedding on your calendar? Hi, Nick and Roy for Tom's Place. If you're the lucky groom, Tom is your best man and ready to make you and your wedding party look stunning on your big day.
Whether it's formal or casual, destination celebration, traditional or contemporary, they literally have you covered in clothes with their tailored suits and classic tuxedos, complete with all the accessories to help you shine in the spotlight.
Why rent when it's so affordable to buy an outfit that will serve you well for years? For the father of the bride or groom or a special guest needing elegant attire, Tom's Wedding Specialist help you save more and dress better. Discover more, including Canadian-made brands.
Make sure you enter the wonderful wedding contest at toms-place.com. That's toms-place.com to win a $500 credit for your wedding party.
Tom's Place, 190 Baldwin Street in the heart of a Kensington Market in Toronto. Tom's Place will suit you.
You're listening to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy. Listen, laugh, and learn.
What's in the mailbag? What's in the mail?
So my mailbag today comes from Donna Lee from Victoria, British Columbia. Dear Nick and Roy, we love listening to your show on our local radio station, CFAX, C-F-A-X. It is one of our radio stations on iHeartRadio Talk Network, coast to coast in Canada, so CFAX in Victoria. Your show is a lot of fun, and I really learned lots from you guys. Here's my question. What does toe the line mean? And that's T-O-E, like your toe. It's spelled T-O-W or T-O-E, she's asking. And we can't wait for your answer. Thanks, and keep up the great work. Well, the phrase toe the line, T-O-W, the line, is commonly misused instead of toe the line, T-O-E, like your toe, right? Which symbolizes following rules or standards. And it originates from athletes standing at a starting line before a race to show their readiness. Their toe is on the line. So to toe the line is to follow the rule or the standards.
This is amazing stuff. Nick.
Thank you, Donnelly.
This is a hard name. It's X-I-U, then space C-I space C-H-E-N-G, which is, I think, Sen Kwai Sen.
Okay.
I think that's how that's pronounced, or Chen.
We apologize if it's
Sen
not.
Kai Chen.
All right.
From South Korea.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So we'll call her Sen. Sen from South Korea writes, she writes, I love your show because I learned so much about American and Canadian information.
Nice.
I dream of coming to your amazing countries.
Oh.
You should also come to mine. If you would come to Korea, South Korea,
All right.
send us an email so we can greet you at the airport.
Oh, okay.
So
Sure.
we have an invitation
We do.
to go to South Korea.
Well, now we have.
And isn't it amazing, Nick? Did you ever think 5 years ago that we would be communicating with these people all over the world.
No, truly no. And that's why we say over 80 countries, and the number keeps getting larger and larger because as the audience is discovering our show, either by mistake or they're looking for something else or by word of mouth, we really are. I mean, we joke around a lot, but we are really, truly grateful for every one of those countries. But now we have two invitations, one from the mayor of Niagara Falls and one from Shen from South Korea.
Yeah, we're going to go. For those of you that don't have our newsletter, go to nickandroy.com, get our newsletter.
Yeah, it's free.
Because wait, when we go to Niagara Falls, we are going to be, oh my God,
Yeah,
we're
we'll
off
take
the
pictures.
diet. We're off the diet.
100%. Today on the show, we talked about Niagara Falls with the mayor of Niagara Falls, Jim Diodati. Thanks again for joining us. We talked about food. We talked about fashion. It's time for the news.
And now, from around the corner and around the world, this is TUI News.
Homeowners associations have lots of rules, and I think, Roy, you've lived in some some homes that were part of a homeowners association with rules.
Yes, I've actually served on the board of a homeowners association.
No, they have lots of rules, including what the color of your house can be or where cars can be parked in the street and things like that. But in one South Jersey neighborhood, a woman has been fighting with her homeowners association to keep her emotional support chickens. And they've been battling.
Who is this chick?
Her name is Laurie Smith. Has been ordered by a judge to remove her five emotionally support chickens and their backyard coop by early April, so pretty soon from the recording of this show. The latest legal twist in her battle with the Homeowners Association and Amherst Farms. They've quoted her, so Laurie Smith, I was told by a board member that we would be able to have the chickens. We needed permission from our immediate neighbors, which we obtained. No issues. And so we got the chickens, and about 6 weeks, I noticed a significant and profound impact in a positive way in my symptoms of PTSD. And I just thought, this is the greatest thing. This is a miracle, she says. This is wonderful. Until...
I guess it's exciting.
It is. So, what the clock? But then an order came from her homeowners associations that the chickens had to go.
Yeah, the coop. The coop is a problem. I'm sure she complained that these people should all drive 4 doors because they have their own coop.
No, that's not what that means. No.
No?
She received an email from the board saying that they weren't allowed to have them. They weren't allowed to have a coop, and they needed to get rid of them immediately. They served her with a lawsuit.
Yeah, there's usually wildlife clauses in these HOAs.
Okay, but
you can't have livestock.
Okay, but she said that she was given permission because she needed all 5 support animals.
Has she exhausted all her options?
We're not sure. This kind of shows. So according to her lawyer, during the depositions, opposing counsel was asking Laurie, no, this is cruel. They asked her, do you kiss your chickens?
No.
Yeah, that's
they
what
got into that
during a disposition. That kind of
deposition. Or a disposition, whichever.
It wasn't a good one either way. Wow, the kind of shows people aren't taking this seriously because it's chickens. It's cute. It's a little funny, but it's a little odd. But
I guess she claimed that she gave just a little peck on the cheek.
She did. That's where those people there, those darn people at the homeowners association, that's where they missed the boat. They should have asked her, do you give your chickens a peck on the cheek? See, they missed it. That's why we need us here. Okay, so it's a little...
Now, I have one question for you. This is an important question.
Of course
she has the emotional support chickens.
5 of them.
5 of them.
Right.
Is she married? So we don't know this.
We don't know.
Possibly her husband is henpecked.
He was handpicked by a henpeck. It's a very serious thing. There's plenty of empirical data about U.S. veterans who use chicken keeping as a way of therapy for their PTSD. So it's not an uncommon thing to have chickens as part of therapy for PTSD.
I have heard this. That they are very, very calming. And
they are.
It's nice to throw the feed to them, and they ingratiate you with eggs.
So the judge said on or before April 4th, they have to get rid of the chickens. Otherwise, we will have someone else remove the chickens. So they're not going to...
So on or before April 4th.
She's not going to...
So she removed the coop. On April 1st, she removed the coop. and then put it back on April 2nd and said, April Fools.
Right. She did. But she's not going to give up. She's going to fight until the end. So we want this chick.
I say she should scramble to get a good lawyer.
She should. You know what? If they wind up overturning this decision, the HOA will have egg on their face. That's all the time we have. That's all the time we have on this.
I think you're cracking up. That's an egg joke.
It is. Joke's on you. We are done with this episode of Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy. We learned so much from Niagara Falls. Thanks again to the mayor, Jim Diodati, for providing us some great useless information about Niagara Falls. And we will scour the internet far and wide to get totally useless information just for you.
And until then, we ask you to tell everyone you know about Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy. It's on every podcast network, iHeartRadio. We're all over the place now. Like we said, 80 countries. And it is because of you, the person that is listening to us right now, that this show is so successful. And thank you again.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Roy.
Thanks for listening.
Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy has been brought to you in part by Tom's Place, the finest in men's fashion. Located in Toronto at 190 Baldwin Street in the heart of Kensington Market. Or visit toms-place.com.